My name is Ed Madison, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Oregon School of Journalism and Communication and also executive director of the Journalistic Learning Initiative. And the work that we do with JLI and the good fortune that we've had to work with the Oregon Department of Education is really based on realizing that when students have opportunities to experience all kinds of pathways and possibilities that they might not even know about or might not have known about before, it really opens their eyes. In telling these stories, we really wanted a wide representation, not only geographically across the state, but also of individuals who came from diverse backgrounds in terms of ethnicity and gender. It was really important for us that anybody who's watching these videos could at least find themselves in at least one or two of the stories in terms of their areas of interest and feeling like they related to the people that were sharing their stories.
So initially when I heard about the Career Journeys Project, I loved the idea. I loved the idea of traveling across the state and filming with all sorts of folks, kind of shadowing them as they go about their days. And it's sort of a documentarian's dream. Every day was different. Every day we generally start really early and finish late, and we spend a lot of time in the car kind of thinking about where we're going next and kind of imagining what the stories might be like and who we're going to meet. You know, for someone who's been in the state for quite a few years now, there are even places where we'd go that were completely new to me that I'd never visited before, and I love that aspect of it. And then more importantly, it's just really fun to meet new people and talk about the work they do and talk about what gets them excited and what kind of inspires them to wake up in the morning and get after it.
Today we're filming with Natalie Millar. Am I saying that right, Millar?
Mm-hmm.
CEO of Terminal Gravity Brewing. We're in front of the beer repository, as they call it. Is that what you call it?
No, but that's okay.
What do you call
The
this
warehouse.
space? The
Yeah.
warehouse. Oh. We just did an interview.
Mhm.
We said it was one of the top interviews of all time, historically, for Career Journeys videos, one of the top interviews. Now the goal is to film Natalie doing as many of the tasks that she would do throughout her day. And meanwhile, behind the camera, we have Jimmy, and he's been flying his drone around, doing a lot of photos. And it's been a wonderful experience, kind of seeing a day in the life of a CEO of a high-powered company.
Yeah.
In selecting individuals to be featured in this particular series, it was really important to us to represent every area of the state of Oregon. And that means travel. And, Jordan was on the road, for many, many weeks, visiting these places and talking to individuals in all kinds of settings. We have individuals who are working outside, people that are working inside, people that are doing, construction type work, people that are doing things that are more oriented around teaching. There's a whole variety of different opportunities that I think will open students' eyes to seeing, just really what's available out there in terms of a career pathway.
I guess the one commonality is that everyone seems to really be passionate about the work that they're doing, and they seem to have found their niche within the state of Oregon. We also wanted to find people that, for the most part, were Oregon educated. We love that kind of thread as it relates to students watching the series and being able to say, hey, I'm in one of the same classrooms that one of these folks may have started in as well.
We use the term near-peer mentoring in terms of how we have organized these videos to really address sort of something that's pretty obvious. I mean, young people are more inclined to pay attention to someone that's a few years older than themselves than a gray-haired professor like myself. So it really hits home when they can see and watch a day in the life of individuals who are working in careers, that they may never have considered or even knew were possible.
So in terms of finding story subjects, we really wanted to cover as many sectors as possible. And so that's where we started first. There were, I believe, 16 job sectors that are kind of considered the most in demand of the highest relevancy in the state. And so we started there. With our team, we wanted to cover at least one person from each of those areas to kind of get coverage of all the things that are happening in the state at that level. And then additionally, the other consideration was covering as many regions as possible throughout the state. And so we wanted to crisscross the entire state of Oregon to make sure that every region was covered, out toward the coast, on the western side of the state, all the way out east, kind of on the border of Idaho and everything in between.
In terms of when you're putting, videos like this together, one of the first things you're looking for is someone who is going to be engaging and interesting, right? And so we go through a list of maybe 3 times the actual amount of people that we're going to go out and put on videotape. Typically the process is like a pre-interview via Zoom. I think also, in addition to that, it's about picking stories that have something that's visual that you can show. So we're not doing radio here, or we're not doing, podcasts, we're doing video. So it's important that the people that we selected were actually engaged in something visual that we could get footage of. And that really makes for a more interesting story.
So for Career Journeys, we had 2 different story types for each subject. We had a profile and then a longer Q&A. And the profile we always kind of thought of as being sort of the emotional underpinning to the reason why someone got into their career. So a lot of times we'd ask questions like, what gets you excited about waking up in the morning and going to work? What are you most passionate about when it comes to the work that you're doing? And those types of questions really allowed us to create that shorter profile piece that was really emotionally driven. And it was just supposed to, in the case of our audience of students, it was supposed to just get them excited and interested in kind of learning more. And then during the Q&A, it ended up being a little bit more technical in terms of the work that someone was doing. Like, what does your day-to-day look like? What are some of the interactions you might have with your coworkers? What sorts of skills do you need on the job site? How did you prepare for this type of career? And so that dynamic between profile and the Q&A was really just meant to be, again, about the emotional undercurrent behind the work that someone does, and then using that as sort of a window into a larger narrative about what the job actually looks like.
School is great at exposing young people to different disciplines in terms of math or science. And yet, when you have an opportunity to see how these disciplines are applied in the real world, it can make all the difference. And I think that's really the point of the Career Journey series, is to really, show young people, how what they're learning in school can be applied after they leave school. It's fair to say that the entire notion of thinking about your future can be a little bit, anxiety provoking. I mean, there's so many different options, and most people have not a, clear idea of like what they want to be doing in their future. And so, that's one of the things that's great about this series, is that, students can have a whole array of possibilities. Maybe that you really enjoy working outside, or maybe that you're good with young people, and maybe you have some desire to go into education, or maybe you have really design skills or technology skills. There's so many different options that are out there, and so the whole point of this is to show you just what the possibilities are, and to learn from people that are actually engaged in doing these different career positions.
I mean, what's not to love? You're traveling throughout the state, you're meeting new people all the time, you're filming some really pretty stunning areas, and there's a part of me that actually feels really kind of prideful, actually, in seeing all the great career pathways that people have chosen. And a lot of these folks are kind of my age and a little bit younger. But I remember a lot of us, when we graduated, it was at a time where there wasn't a whole lot of certainty in terms of what the economic outlook looked like. And I had some excellent teachers when I was younger, but I remember thinking I didn't quite know what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I had some ideas, and I had some ideas of what I thought other people might want for me. And you start getting into this space of just imagining, like, what careers make a lot of money, or how can I provide for the family that I don't have but I will have in the future. You start asking yourself those questions, and then at the end of the day, what actually matters is, what do you want to do, in this case, 8, 9, 10 hours of your day for most of your adult life. And that gets at a really philosophical question of, you know, like what is important to you? Like, what are your values? Like, what kind of gets you excited to get up in the morning? And knowing that students that are watching it might even have a little bit of an idea from some of these story subjects, I mean, that's a beautiful place to be for this project. And just knowing that students have options now, and they have, you know, educators working alongside them to kind of figure out like what actually excites you. Like, forget about what you think your parents or, you know, your family wants you to do, what your friends think they want to do. What is it that you want to do, and what is it that gets you excited? And any kind of tool that contributes to that learning and that awareness as students are kind of in these formative years between middle school and high school, I mean, I think it's a great place to be, and it's been one of the joys of my you know, working life to participate in this project.